Hello there, it's Milmo here, and I am back for this All Out War number 2. Now, having a quick look at these two acts in this may be the concluding part to this series of All Out War, just purely because usually once that 4-star is up for grabs, that is the ending of that series. If you think back to March to War, that's what happened, except they had the 3 parts, so this one may only be a 2-part, which I guess in a way you get into that 4-star a bit quicker rather than having to wait between that time between stages, and also not having to play as many acts per war, because March to War was the 3-part one, and this one may, by the looks of it, only be a 2-part, being that Sherry is offered for the 4-star prize in the Act 2 of this one. Now, the only way I really see them being able to extend this series to the 3rd part is possibly if they bring out a 3rd one and they up the team grade to S1 plus rather than the S1 that is in this Act 2, and they bring out another 4-star, but the 4-star is probably not going to be the best quality 4-star. It may be a common one they've already handed out before, so a repeat one, or if they do hand out a new one, which I highly doubt that because they handed out the Sherry here, then it's not going to have the best rush or leader skills. It's going to be fairly average, but I don't really see them bringing out a 3rd part to this one. I think it may end on the Act 2 here with the Sherry, but we'll see where they take it and how it goes. But let's move on. As you've seen, I'm flying through these stages as you do in the early one. I've got my Carl in there, plus 20% HP and 20% attack for all range characters, and then I've just brought in a few characters. I tried not to bring in my high tier characters and fully upgraded characters or anything like that. I didn't want to get an overly huge team grade. As you see, I like to mix it up and bring in different characters. Even though the characters may be duplicates, because I have a lot of duplicate characters, they're not as upgraded as my ones I use on the regular basis, so I try and bring in those ones that ain't as updated, just so you can sort of, I guess, see how to use players that ain't as upgraded, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that only have 3 stars, and I don't have 3 stars, so the best I can do is bring in 4 stars that ain't upgraded, and that's just basically what I do here. I've got the new Bo, who we just recently run in the Faction Raid tournament. He was up for prizes from the first 5 groups, I believe, so if you're rank 5 or above, you got Bo there, and then everyone, I think between 5 and 15 was the lorry, so we were lucky enough to get our Bo, and I'm just bringing him in to show. Now, he's not really benefit from Carl's leader skill here, being that he is a melee and Carl's leader skill is for range, but I'm not worried about that. I just thought I'd bring him in and use him, and then I've just got him surrounded by a few blues. I tried to use Andrea, Kenny, and also Joe Bob. Now, that's not my typical Joe Bob I would use. This is one of my unupgraded ones. And we're just flying through these stages. As per usual, when it comes to people stages, you want to be making sure you're taking advantages of those traits. So I always try and use 2 trait majority teams. Sometimes I can go in the direction of using the majority of 1 trait, and that's just purely because when you have either a 2 trait mixture or a 1 trait mixture, it actually, in a way, it can disadvantage you, but it also gives you great advantage as well. It makes you stronger because you have numbers in a certain trait, so it makes you be able to take full advantage of that trait bonus against that other trait, but it also means that you're only vulnerable to 1 other trait rather than being vulnerable to 4 or 3 traits. You're only that 1 trait or that 2 trait if you got a mixture. So that's why I do that. I've got Bo in there, which sort of means I'm a bit vulnerable to alerts at the moment, being that he's my only strong, so I can't disperse that damage factor, but that's okay because these guys ain't actually hit me that hard, so I'm not too concerned about the trait mixture at the moment. But I always say if you can try and bring in a 2 trait mixture, it can make your chances a whole lot stronger of actually beating that stage, and I found that works a lot better than bringing in a big mixture of traits, like 4 of traits all mixed up. If you can have a 2-part majority trait team, it usually makes things a lot easier. In certain stages that you would prefer to have a certain mixture of 2 traits rather than the other ones. I know for elite gear events and things like that, they bring in a lot of toughs and alerts, which means you do the opposite things for them. So a fast and a tough team would actually work well, because they're the two major traits that are your opponent. So if you bring in them, then it will help you get through that stage and make the possibility of you getting through those elite gear stages a whole lot easier. And that's just why I prefer the 2-trait mixture. But as you can see, got through these first 5 stages fairly comfortably. Hopefully that is a trend that will continue throughout this Act 1, and as always, thanks for watching.